What if the way you breathe right now is not just keeping you alive, but silently writing the story of your life? What if every inhale is a sentence, every exhale a paragraph, and the rhythm of your breathing is scripting the very reality you wake up to each day? Most people never think about their breath beyond survival. They wake up, check their phones, rush into the chaos of daily life, and breathe shallow, unconscious breaths without ever questioning what those breaths are doing. Yet the truth is profound. Your breath is not just air entering your lungs. It is the most direct connection between your body, your mind, and the universe. Modern research shows that the average person takes around 23,000 breaths per day. That means you've likely taken several hundred breaths since this video began. But here's the striking fact: over 99% of those breaths are unconscious. You are alive, but you are not aware of how the very act that sustains your life is shaping it. Think about it. You breathe when you are angry, when you are afraid, when you are happy, when you are inspired. Each of those emotional states has a breathing pattern, and each pattern tells your nervous system, your cells, and even the space around you how to respond. Breathing shallowly in panic doesn't just mirror anxiety, it reinforces it. Breathing deeply in peace doesn't just reflect calm, it creates it. So the central question is, what reality are you breathing into existence right now? The purpose of this journey is to awaken you to a forgotten truth. Your breath is both signal and signature. It is the signal your body sends to your brain, and it is the energetic signature you send to the world. When you breathe with awareness, you stop being a prisoner of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your reality. From the dawn of human history, civilizations knew what modern science is only beginning to rediscover. Breath is sacred. Breath is transformative. Breath is the bridge between flesh and spirit. The Sanskrit word prana doesn't just mean breath. It means life force, the energy that animates the universe. Ancient yogis built entire systems of practice, pranayama, designed to channel and expand this life force through intentional breathing. They believed that through breath, a human could influence not only their body and mind, but the very currents of reality itself. In Hebrew, the word ruach carries a similar meaning. It translates as breath, but also as wind, spirit, and divine presence. To inhale was to receive the spirit. To exhale was to return that spirit back into the world. Breath was not biological, it was theological. In ancient Egypt, initiates were taught that to breathe light into the body was to awaken the Ka, the spiritual double. The breath was seen as the golden thread connecting the physical body to the eternal soul. Priests and healers guided initiates through rituals where conscious breathing was used to access states of expanded awareness, allowing them to commune with higher realities. In Chinese tradition, Qi, Qi, is the vital energy that flows through the meridians of the body. Taoist masters understood that breath could direct this energy, bringing harmony, health, and even spiritual immortality. Breathing exercises like Qigong and Tai Chi were designed not just for physical vitality, but for aligning human beings with the Tao, the cosmic order of existence. Even the Greeks recognized this truth. The word pneuma meant both breath and spirit. Philosophers like Plato described the soul as being bound to the body through breath, and Stoics practiced breath regulation as a way of cultivating clarity and inner strength. Everywhere you look in the ancient world, breath was never just oxygen. It was the bridge between the visible and invisible, between matter and spirit, between the individual and the cosmos. For centuries, the West dismissed these traditions as mystical poetry. But now, science is catching up. Biophoton research led by scientists like Fritz Albert Popp shows that every cell in your body emits tiny particles of light. When you are in harmony, this light is coherent, ordered, like a symphony. When you are stressed or in disharmony, the light becomes chaotic, like static noise. And what influences these emissions more than anything else? Your breath. Each inhale and exhale literally changes the light your cells emit. You are, in the most literal sense, painting reality with photons as you breathe. The HeartMath Institute has discovered that the heart generates the largest electromagnetic field of any organ in the body. This field extends at least 8 to 10 feet in radius, and it changes depending on your breathing. Shallow, erratic breathing produces turbulence in the field, which others can unconsciously sense. Coherent, intentional breathing produces harmony, which people feel as calmness, trust, and attraction. You've experienced this, the comfort of being near someone at peace or the unease of being around someone anxious. Science now shows it's not just psychological, it's electromagnetic. Neuroscience has revealed that the way you breathe directly influences the brain. Breathing regulates the vagus nerve, which controls your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for calm, rest, and healing. Deep, rhythmic breathing activates this system, lowering stress hormones like cortisol and increasing feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. When you breathe differently, you literally change the chemistry of your brain. Quantum physics adds another dimension. The observer effect shows that observation itself changes reality at the subatomic level. Conscious breathing is observation turned inward. Every inhale is a conscious witness of your inner state. Every exhale an imprint into the quantum field. You are not just a passenger in life, you are a participant in the fabric of existence. Think about this carefully. Each day you are given 23,000 opportunities to reshape your life. Each breath is a choice, unconscious repetition or conscious creation. Most people squander this gift, breathing shallowly as they replay the same old stories in their heads. They breathe fear, and so they live in fear. They breathe doubt, and so they live doubt. But when you begin to breathe consciously, you are no longer repeating, you are creating. You are encoding peace, focus, and power into your field. You are aligning your inner state with the reality you want to experience. So the question becomes, what are you breathing into your life? Most people live as prisoners inside their own thoughts. From the moment they wake up, the mental noise begins. I need to catch up. I'm late. What if they judge me? What if I fail? Did I say the wrong thing yesterday? What about tomorrow? This constant commentary runs on autopilot, and because it's unexamined, people mistake it for truth. They think this voice is who I am, but what if that's the greatest illusion of all? Here is the liberating truth. If you can observe your thoughts, then you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness noticing them. You are the witness behind them. And once you realize that, you step into a level of freedom that most humans never taste. Imagine sitting on the bank of a river. Your thoughts are the water flowing past. Sometimes it drifts slowly and calmly. Other times it rushes in chaos, filled with branches and debris. But you are not the river. You are the one sitting on the bank, watching it. Or imagine the sky. Your thoughts are clouds drifting across it, some dark with storms, others light and gentle. But the sky itself does not change. Whether covered in storm clouds or clear blue, it remains infinite, open, untouched. You are that sky. When you begin breathing consciously, you step into this observer seat. Instead of being swept away by every thought or emotion, you begin to notice them. Instead of reacting blindly, you respond deliberately. That simple shift from thinker to observer, it's the doorway to your true power. Modern neuroscience confirms what the ancients intuited. Studies using fMRI scans show that when people practice mindfulness and observation of thought, the default mode network of the brain, responsible for mind-wandering and self-referential chatter, quietens down. At the same time, regions linked with focus, empathy, and clarity become more active. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research has demonstrated that just 7 minutes of conscious observation of thought can begin rewiring neural circuits that have been conditioned for years. Old patterns of anxiety, fear, or self-doubt literally lose strength, while new circuits of calm, creativity, and focus strengthen. The brain is plastic. It reshapes itself according to what you consistently observe and focus on. Think about that. Every time you breathe consciously and witness your thoughts without judgment, you are physically reshaping your brain. You are no longer a victim of old programming. You are reprogramming yourself. Long before neuroscience, spiritual traditions across the world taught the same principle. In Buddhism, this is known as sati, mindfulness, the art of watching thoughts as passing phenomena, not as identity. The Buddha compared it to sitting under a tree and watching leaves drift by in the wind. You do not chase them, you do not cling to them, you just observe. In Hindu Vedanta, it is called Sakshi Bhava, the witness consciousness. The sages taught that your true self is the eternal witness behind all changing experience. The body changes, emotions change, thoughts change, but the witness remains the same. That witness is your real nature. In Taoism, masters described it as returning to the uncarved block, the original awareness untouched by social conditioning and personal story. Through practices like Zhuowang, sitting in forgetfulness, practitioners dissolved into pure observing presence. Even in Christian mysticism, there are references. Early Christian monks in the desert practiced hesychasm, a form of silent observation of thought combined with breath prayer. They realized that beneath the stream of mental chatter was a stillness that was God's presence itself. Across traditions, the message is clear. Your thoughts are not you. You are the awareness observing them. When you identify completely with your thoughts, you are like an actor who has forgotten he is in a play, lost in the drama, overwhelmed by every twist of the script. But when you awaken as the observer, you remember, you are not just the actor. You are also the director. You are the screenwriter. You are even the audience watching the show. This realization changes everything. Suddenly, you don't ask, how can I fix this problem? You ask, what is this experience showing me? Instead of resisting emotions, you become curious about them. Instead of being enslaved by outcomes, you begin to dance with them. The alchemists of medieval Europe called this the great work. They weren't really trying to turn lead into gold in a laboratory. They were trying to turn the lead of unconscious reactivity into the gold of conscious response. Their lab was their own consciousness. Their primary tool was breath and observation. When you consistently live from the observer state, your identity itself changes. You stop saying, I am anxious, and start saying, I notice anxiety is passing through me. You stop saying, I am angry, and start saying, I see anger arising like a cloud and dissolving like a cloud. The difference is subtle but life-changing. You stop fusing with temporary emotions, and you start resting in your eternal awareness. That awareness cannot be hurt, cannot be broken, cannot be diminished. It has been the same since childhood and will remain until your final breath. This awareness is not passive, it is creative. When you observe without judgment, you collapse the old patterns and open space for new realities to emerge. This is where spirituality and quantum physics meet. The observer effect in physics shows that particles behave differently when observed. At the deepest level of reality, consciousness itself influences matter. When you observe your inner world with awareness, you are influencing the very fabric of your outer world. Imagine two scientists, one in a lab with machines measuring neurons, and one yogi in a cave with eyes closed, following the rhythm of breath. On the surface, they seem worlds apart. But both are exploring the same truth. Consciousness is not trapped inside the mind, it shapes reality itself. The lab scientist finds that observation rewires neurons. The yogi finds that observation reveals liberation. Both point to the same principle: awareness transforms. And the breath is the bridge. With every inhale, you can notice. With every exhale, you can release. With every pause, you can rest in the truth that you are not the storm, you are the sky that holds it all. Every inhale begins. Every exhale ends. But between them, something extraordinary happens, something most people never notice. It is the pause, the still point, the gap where everything stops. For a fraction of a second, there is no inhaling, no exhaling, no movement at all. Your body is suspended. Your mind is suspended. And in that silence, reality itself becomes pliable. This gap is not emptiness. It is potential. It is the canvas upon which all creation is painted. The Egyptians knew this. They taught initiates to rest in the silence of Ra, the stillness between breaths, where they believed divine intelligence entered the body. The Vedic yogis called it Kumbhaka, the pause in breath that opens gateways to higher states of awareness. The Tibetans called it the lung, the sacred breath energy that resides in stillness. Across traditions, the message was the same: the pause is power. Modern science, in its own language, is beginning to describe the same phenomenon. At the subatomic level, particles do not exist as fixed things. They exist as probabilities, as waves of potential. Only when observed do they collapse into a defined reality. This is the famous observer effect in quantum physics. Now think of the pause in your breath. For that split second, when you are neither inhaling nor exhaling, you are resting in pure potential. You are in the wave state of reality, nothing fixed, everything possible. It is as though you step into the quantum field itself before probabilities collapse. Scientists call it the zero-point field, the vacuum energy that underlies all existence. Mystics call it the void, the womb of creation. In truth, they are describing the same thing: the silence behind sound, the stillness behind movement, the gap behind breath. The Mayans spoke of the place of no wind, a dimension where shamans would enter during trance, reached by suspending the breath. They believed this place was where new visions for their people were born. In the Taoist tradition, practitioners sat for hours in stillness, not just calming the body but waiting for the spaces between breaths to expand naturally. They said that in those spaces, the Tao itself, the underlying order of the universe, was revealed. Buddhist masters describe entering samadhi, a state of consciousness where thought ceases and pure awareness shines. Often, this was reached not by effort but by resting in the natural pauses of the breath, where the mind dissolved into silence. Even in early Christianity, mystics practiced breath prayers that naturally created gaps of silence. They taught that in those pauses, God spoke, not in words, but in presence. To the logical mind, nothingness feels useless. We want activity, stimulation, something happening. But the greatest power lies not in the noise but in the silence. Think of a bow and arrow. The arrow flies not because of the bow's movement, but because of the stillness held before release. Think of music. The beauty of a song is not just in the notes, but in the pauses between them. Think of speech. Meaning is found not only in the words, but in the silence that gives them shape. The gap in breath is the same. It is the stillness that organizes the movement. Without it, breath is just mechanical. With it, breath becomes creation. Yogis practice Kumbhaka, holding the breath gently at the top of the inhale or the bottom of the exhale. Not straining, not forcing, but resting. In that rest, consciousness expanded. Some described visions of light, others a sense of merging with infinity. Modern science suggests why. When you pause the breath, you briefly alter the flow of oxygen and carbon dioxide, shifting the balance of gases in the blood. This creates a mild, safe stress that signals the brain to release neurotransmitters associated with clarity and focus. At the same time, the nervous system dips into parasympathetic dominance, deep relaxation. The combination is a state of calm alertness, perfect for insight. Here is the key insight. When you pause in the breath, you are entering the same state that quantum particles occupy before collapsing into form. You are stepping into the field of possibility. What you hold in awareness in that moment carries immense weight. If you carry fear, you amplify fear. If you carry peace, you amplify peace. If you hold an image of the life you wish to create, that image imprints itself into the quantum field. This is why ancient traditions used the breath as the foundation of prayer, mantra, and visualization. The pause between breaths was the sacred chamber where intention became creation. Imagine an archer in ancient Japan practicing Kido, the way of the bow. Before releasing the arrow, he holds his breath. For a timeless instant, everything stops. His mind, his body, even his heartbeat feels suspended. In that stillness, the arrow has already struck its target in the field of potential. When he exhales and releases, the physical arrow simply follows the path already created in the silence. Your life works the same way. The pause in your breath is your kaido moment, the place where intention precedes manifestation, where the arrow of reality is guided by your awareness. So next time you notice your breathing, remember, the inhale gives you life, the exhale expresses life, but the pause holds the mystery of creation itself. In that silence lies the zero-point field, the ancient void, the womb of possibility. Most people rush past it, desperate to inhale again or exhale again. But those who learn to rest in it discover that the universe itself breathes with them, and that in the gap, they are not just surviving, they are creating. From the outside, the body looks like flesh, bone, muscle, and blood. But when you step inside with awareness, you discover it is much more. It is a living temple, a cathedral made of cells designed to hold the spark of consciousness. Every culture, in its own language, has pointed to this truth. The body is not just biological, it is spiritual architecture. The way you breathe into it determines how this temple is maintained, how it resonates, and what energy flows through it. The Egyptians taught that the human body mirrored the architecture of their sacred temples. Each chamber of the pyramid corresponded to an inner chamber of the body. To breathe consciously was to open doors inside yourself, doors that led to wisdom and healing. In India, yogis mapped the body through the system of chakras, energy centers aligned with the spine. Each chakra was like an altar in the inner temple, governing not just physical functions, but states of mind and spirit. Breath was the key to energizing these centers, to purifying and awakening them. In China, Taoists described the meridians, channels of energy running through the body like rivers. They saw illness as blockages in these rivers and used breath to restore flow, bringing the temple back into harmony. In Jewish mysticism, the Sephirot of the Kabbalah were mapped not only onto the cosmos, but also onto the body. Each divine quality was embodied in a region of the human form, making the body itself a microcosm of creation. The message across all of these traditions: the body is not just matter. It is a map of the cosmos, and the breath is the guide that lets you walk through its sacred halls. Modern science now validates what the ancients suggested, that your body holds memory beyond your conscious mind. Epigenetics is the study of how experiences, especially trauma, can leave chemical marks on DNA that affect how genes are expressed. These marks do not change the DNA sequence, but they influence whether certain genes are turned on or off. This means that the anxiety you feel today may not be entirely yours. It may be the echo of your grandmother's fear during war. The heaviness in your chest may carry the silence your father kept all his life. The knot in your stomach may be your ancestors' survival strategies coded into your very biology. Your body is not just your own. It is the accumulated memory of generations. You are the latest chapter in a long story written through breath, blood, and experience. But here's the empowering truth. Epigenetic marks are reversible. They can be changed. And one of the most powerful ways to influence them is through your state of mind and your breath. When you breathe with awareness, you send signals of safety and coherence to your cells. Over time, those signals can soften, even erase, the imprints of inherited trauma. You are not condemned to repeat the past encoded in your body. You are the one who can rewrite it. Every part of your body carries meaning. Your shoulders often bear burdens that were never yours to carry. Your chest may shield grief unspoken. Your stomach may hold fear of survival. Your hips may store memories of old wounds and losses. This is not a metaphor alone. Psychologists and somatic therapists now understand that unprocessed emotions become stuck in the body. They live as muscle tension, chronic pain, or mysterious illnesses. The body becomes the archive of what the mind cannot handle, and yet the breath is the master key. When you breathe deeply and consciously into an area of tension, you are not just bringing oxygen. You are bringing awareness, light, and energy into that chamber of the temple. Slowly, the walls begin to soften, and the stored memories find release. This is why in many healing traditions, people may weep, laugh, or feel waves of emotion during deep breathwork. It is not random. It is the temple unlocking its chambers, releasing what has been held in silence. Consider how many cultures independently created maps of the inner temple. Indian chakras, 7 primary centers from root to crown, each governing physical organs and states of consciousness. Chinese meridians, thousands of energy channels with key points known as acupoints where breath and energy could be directed. Egyptian energy centers, known as wheels of light, similar to chakras, used in initiations. Kabbalistic sephirot, 10 emanations of divine energy mapped to both cosmos and body. Mayan energy systems, practices using breath and sound to awaken centers in the body, aligning with cosmic cycles. What is astonishing is that these systems, developed across continents and millennia, all agree on one thing. The body is not just flesh. It is energy, light, and consciousness. Think of your body as a cathedral that has stood for centuries. Some rooms are filled with light, others have grown dusty, others may be blocked or crumbling. The breath is like fresh air and sunlight entering through the windows. Each inhale sweeps away dust. Each exhale clears cobwebs. Slowly, the temple is restored to its original brilliance. This is not just poetic. Science confirms that conscious breathing improves circulation, oxygenates tissues, lowers inflammation, and even activates stem cells that repair the body. The ancient metaphor of renovation aligns with modern biology. When you breathe with awareness, you are literally repairing the temple, not just emotionally, but structurally. Here's something extraordinary. When you breathe consciously and heal a pattern within yourself, you are not only healing for you, you are healing across generations. Research in epigenetics shows that changes you make in your state can affect the way your DNA is expressed, and those changes can ripple forward to your children and grandchildren. But many traditions also teach that breath can ripple backward, releasing the echoes of ancestors. When you breathe into your chest and allow grief to surface, you may be releasing not just your own tears, but those of ancestors who could not cry. When you breathe into your belly and soften fear, you may be easing generations of survival anxiety. This is why indigenous traditions speak of healing the 7 generations behind and the 7 generations ahead. Through the temple of your body, the breath becomes a timeless instrument of liberation. Ancient Hermetic philosophy taught, as above, so below. As within, so without. Your body is a miniature version of the cosmos. The same laws that govern galaxies govern your cells. The same patterns that shape solar systems shape your breath. When you breathe consciously, you are not only harmonizing yourself, you are harmonizing with the very rhythm of the universe. You become a temple not of isolation, but of resonance with the cosmos. Your breath becomes a prayer, your body the altar, your awareness the divine flame. When you inhale, it feels personal. When you exhale, it feels private. But science and ancient wisdom both say otherwise. Your breath is not contained within your skin. It radiates. It influences. It creates a field around you that others can sense. You have experienced this firsthand. You walk into a room where one person is calm, and suddenly the whole atmosphere feels lighter. Or you enter a room where someone is anxious, and before they say a word, you feel the tension. That's not imagination. It's the breath shaping the field. Your breath is like a pebble dropped into a pond. The ripples spread outward. Sometimes subtle, sometimes strong, but always expanding. The HeartMath Institute has shown that your heart produces the largest electromagnetic field of any organ in the body. This field is not static. It changes moment to moment depending on your emotions. And your emotions are deeply linked to your breathing patterns. When you breathe erratically, your heart rhythm becomes erratic, sending incoherence through your field. Others may not consciously notice, but their nervous systems register it. When you breathe coherently, your heart rhythm synchronizes into harmony, radiating calmness outward. HeartMath studies found that when one person enters a state of heart coherence, those nearby begin to unconsciously synchronize. Your breath literally entrains the breath and heartbeat of others. You are not isolated, you are a tuning fork for the collective. What happens when not just one, but many people breathe in coherence together? The effects multiply. Experiments in group meditation have shown measurable impacts on crime rates, violence, and even economic patterns. In the 1990s, a series of studies known as the Maharishi effect found that when groups of meditators gathered in cities to practice synchronized breath and meditation, crime rates dropped significantly during those periods. Skeptics dismissed it at first, but repeated studies revealed consistent correlations. The Global Consciousness Project, run by researchers at Princeton, uses random number generators placed around the world. They found that during moments of collective focus, such as global meditations, or even during world events like 9/11s, these machines showed anomalies as if human consciousness itself was synchronizing on a planetary scale. Breath, being the foundation of focus and meditation, is central to this effect. Even the Schumann resonance, the natural electromagnetic frequency of the Earth, has been observed to shift during times of mass collective meditation. It is as though the Earth itself responds to the breath of humanity. Long before science, cultures understood the power of breathing together. Native American tribes performed breath dances around fires, sensing their inhalations and exhalations with drum beats, believing this created harmony with nature. In Vedic India, group chanting of mantras was always linked with breath, creating waves of sound and intention that unified communities. The Greeks held festivals where breath, song, and movement merged, producing states of ecstasy where individuals felt part of a greater whole. In Tibetan monasteries, monks chanted in unison, breath vibrating through temples, creating resonance fields that transformed the atmosphere itself. Breath was never just personal, it was communal. To breathe together was to create coherence, to weave individuals into a single organism. On a smaller scale, think of families. Children unconsciously synchronize with their parents' breathing patterns. If a parent breathes in anxiety, the The child absorbs it, often without a word spoken. If a parent breathes calmly, the child feels safe. Teams operate the same way. Sports psychologists have found that when team members regulate their breathing before a game, their performance improves, not just individually but collectively. The shared field becomes one of confidence and flow. Now expand this idea to nations. Imagine a population breathing in fear, glued to screens, lungs tight with stress. That collective breath fuels division, aggression, and instability. Now imagine a population breathing in coherence, aligned with peace and clarity. That collective breath builds harmony, creativity, and resilience. Breath is not just biology, it is politics, economics, culture. It is the invisible force shaping the destiny of groups, just as it shapes the destiny of individuals. You might think, I'm just one person. How can my breath possibly matter? But here is the truth. The field does not measure quantity, it measures quality. One coherent person radiating harmony can influence many incoherent people. Just as one candle lights a dark room, one person breathing consciously can shift the atmosphere of a family, a workplace, or even a community. This is why ancient traditions honored the role of the mystic, the yogi, the monk. They weren't just seeking personal peace, they were stabilizing the collective field. Their breath was service, and your breath can be the same. Every time you choose to breathe consciously, you are not just helping yourself, you are contributing to the healing of the whole. Science tells us the electromagnetic field of the heart extends 10 feet, but mystics say the breath radiates infinitely. Perhaps both are true, one measuring the physical, the other the metaphysical. What matters is this: breath is contagious. Fear spreads through breath. Anger spreads through breath. But so does peace. So does love. So does clarity. When you master your breath, you stop being a consumer of collective chaos and become a contributor of coherence. You stop being part of the problem and start being part of the solution. Your breath is not private, it is a broadcast. It is the radio signal you send into the world, moment by moment. The question is not whether you are affecting others, you are. The only question is, what are you broadcasting? Anxiety or peace? Fear or courage? Chaos or coherence? Every inhale, every exhale is a choice. And as you choose consciously, you become not just a passenger in humanity's story, but a co-author of its destiny. We live in a culture that worships motion. We're taught that more effort means more results, that constant hustle equals success. The modern world glorifies busyness as though exhaustion were a badge of honor. But the truth is this: reality does not respond to effort alone, it responds to alignment. Think about the ocean. The tide does not crash endlessly in chaos. It rises and falls in harmony with the moon. A tree does not strain to grow. It stands still, rooted, and growth emerges naturally. In the same way, stillness is not weakness. Stillness is the hidden axis of power. Imagine a mountain. It does not chase the sun, yet it glows every morning with its light. It does not run from storms, yet it endures every one. Its stillness organizes the rivers, forests, and winds around it. When you cultivate stillness through your breath, you become that mountain. You stop being tossed by every storm of thought, every gust of emotion, every cloud of doubt. You remain grounded, and from that groundedness, power radiates. Now imagine a hurricane. Around it, chaos. Winds tearing trees apart, rain flooding cities, waves smashing shores. Yet at the very center, in the eye, there is perfect calm. In fact, the calm is what gives the hurricane its structure. Stillness does not mean absence of power. It means the center of power. The monk sitting in meditation, the athlete pausing before a decisive move, the warrior breathing before a strike, All are practicing the art of stillness. Great warriors across history have trained not just in strength and skill, but in stillness. The samurai of Japan practiced zanshin, a state of relaxed awareness, cultivated through breath and meditation. In this state, they were calm in the face of death itself. Their stillness gave them precision and clarity that frantic energy never could. In Chinese martial arts, masters taught that the most dangerous fighter is not the one who flails wildly, but the one who stands still, centered, and waits. From stillness comes explosive action, because the action is aligned, not wasted. Even modern soldiers are trained in tactical breathing, slow, controlled breaths that steady the nervous system. In the chaos of battle, the stillness of breath allows focus, accuracy, and resilience. Warriors were not the only ones who understood. Mystics and sages also discovered the secret of stillness. The Buddha sat in stillness beneath the Bodhi tree until enlightenment dawned. His victory was not through movement, but through immovable presence. Laozi, the founder of Taoism, wrote, "The sage does not act, yet nothing is left undone." Stillness was his ultimate power. The Christian desert fathers withdrew into silence, finding that in stillness, the voice of God was clearest. Hindu yogis spent decades in caves, their breath slowed to such stillness that their heartbeat became undetectable. They were not escaping life, they were anchoring themselves in its deepest source. Modern science echoes this wisdom. When you breathe slowly and enter stillness, your brain waves shift from the rapid beta state of everyday thinking into alpha and theta states associated with creativity, intuition, and healing. In deep stillness, even delta waves, linked to deep sleep, can arise, yet you remain conscious. Stillness also optimizes the autonomic nervous system. Stress pushes the body into sympathetic dominance, fight or flight. Stillness restores balance, activating parasympathetic processes of rest, repair, and regeneration. Athletes use this before peak performance. Leaders use it before crucial decisions. Sages use it for transcendence. The biology is the same. Stillness creates clarity, coherence, and power. The paradox is this: the more still you are inside, the more powerful your actions become outside. A frantic mind wastes energy in scattered directions. A still mind channels energy like a laser beam. A turbulent breath weakens the body. A steady breath strengthens it. This is why archers in Zen traditions pause in stillness before releasing. Why orators pause before delivering their most powerful words. Why great innovators often say their breakthroughs came not in frantic thought, but in quiet stillness. Stillness is not the opposite of movement. It is the foundation of effective movement. Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's greatest samurai, wrote that the true warrior is immovable as a mountain and fluid as water. His victories came not from frenzy but from stillness. Nelson Mandela, after 27 years in prison, emerged not broken but with stillness in his soul that transformed a nation. His stillness disarmed hatred. Albert Einstein often described his insights as arriving during quiet, still moments, walking, daydreaming, breathing deeply in silence. Stillness gave birth to relativity itself. The world teaches you to chase, to strive, to exhaust yourself. But reality responds not to your frenzy, it responds to your coherence. And coherence arises from stillness. Stillness is often misunderstood. People think it means inactivity, weakness, or doing nothing. But the great teachers, warriors, and sages have always known the truth. Stillness is not the absence of power. Stillness is power itself. A mountain does not chase the wind, yet it shapes the weather. The eye of a hurricane does not fight the storm, yet it organizes the chaos around it. The calm mind of a master does not force reality, yet reality bends to it. When you master stillness through conscious breath, you stop leaking energy into distraction. You stop broadcasting desperation into the field. You become a magnet, a center of gravity, an anchor in a world of turbulence. This is why monks radiate peace without a word, why samurai entered battle with calm certainty, why visionaries seem to bend destiny around their presence. They discovered that the truest strength is not in endless action, but in aligned stillness. So the invitation is clear: stop equating stillness with weakness. See it instead as your greatest weapon. Breathe into it, trust it, embody it. Because in a noisy world, the quietest one in the room often holds the most power. Right now, humanity is standing at a threshold. On one side is the old way of living, chaotic, reactive, ruled by unconscious patterns, driven by fear, and trapped in endless cycles of division. On the other side is a new way of living, conscious, intentional, harmonious, creative, and free. What decides which path we take? Not technology alone, not politics alone, not money alone. It is something far simpler and yet far more powerful: the state of human consciousness. And what is the fastest, most direct way to shift that state? The breath. The Hopi elders spoke of a time when humanity would face a choice: to walk the path of chaos or the path of harmony. They said those who learned to align with spirit would survive and thrive, while those who clung to fear would struggle. The Mayan calendar was never about the end of the world. It was about the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. They foresaw an era when human beings would awaken to their deeper connection with the cosmos. The Hindu Yugas described vast cycles of consciousness, times when humanity falls into darkness and times when it rises into light. Many seers believe we are now moving into a new dawn, a Satya Yuga, where truth and higher awareness return. Even modern science echoes this vision. Neuroscience shows the brain can rewire itself in weeks through conscious practices. Quantum physics reveals that observation shapes matter. Epigenetics demonstrates that healing today can change the genetic expression of tomorrow. The convergence is clear. Both ancient prophecy and modern science say the same thing: we are creators, not victims. Imagine a world where children are taught not just math and history, but how to breathe consciously. Imagine schools where students begin the day with coherence breathing, aligning their minds and hearts before they learn. Bullying fades, creativity rises, empathy blooms. Imagine workplaces where teams pause to synchronize their breath before making decisions. Stress dissolves, clarity grows, collaboration thrives. Imagine nations where leaders understand that their breath broadcasts into the collective field. Instead of negotiating from fear, they align with stillness and coherence. War becomes less likely, peace more natural. And imagine individuals, you, me, everyone, walking through life not on autopilot but fully awake, breathing consciously, radiating coherence, living as lighthouses in a stormy sea. This is not fantasy, it's a possibility, and begins with something as simple as your next breath. You are not powerless. You are not small. You are not at the mercy of external forces. With every inhale, you take in the intelligence of the universe. With every exhale, you imprint your state onto reality. With every pause, you touch the womb of creation itself. You are not a drop trying to merge with the ocean. You are the ocean, experiencing itself as a drop. You are not a spark seeking the fire. You are the fire, concentrated into form. When you breathe consciously, you remember this truth. And when you remember, you become unstoppable. The journey is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you already are. A being of awareness, of power, of infinite potential. So take this with you. Each inhale, a gift. Each exhale, an offering. Each pause is a doorway to the infinite. Breathe consciously, live deliberately, and radiate coherence in a chaotic world. Become the mountain in the storm, the eye in the hurricane, the lighthouse on the shore. And know this, when you change your breath, you change your mind. When you change your mind, you change your life. And when enough of us do this, we change the world. The future is not waiting, it is breathing with you right now. The question is, what future will you exhale into existence? Choose wisely. Choose consciously. Choose to embody limitless mind power.